What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mokuphu Plays. Today we're going to be discussing Cobra Kai Episode 1, Season 3. With me today, I've got my resident teacher and expert in school things, Gil Vasquez over there in the beanie. And then I have my resident movie expert, Antonio Stateo. He's down there with his hat on and his quarantine beard. So anyways.
Hello, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Thanks for coming on, guys. It's great to have you guys here. So today we're going to go over the first episode of Cobra Kai. In that episode, obviously, Miguel is already in a coma. He got kicked off of the edge by Robbie. We see the aftermath of what happens. Samantha has a little bit of PTSD from the whole incident. The board talks about, the school board comes together and talks about, how they're going to solve this and everything. And Miguel has his inner battle with the coma, as it were. So let's just dive right into it. So Gil, what are your initial impressions of the episode?
My first impression, I'm just happy that it's back on. It's been way too long since that show's been on. I can tell, actually, just going from whatever YouTube Red is to Netflix, the production value has definitely gotten better, at least in the graphics and other things that happen. I'm excited to see the characters back. It looks like there wasn't too much of a time jump from when the end of season 2 happened and the beginning of season 3. I do like the metaphor of Miguel fighting against the coma in his dream and then, trying to make his way out. It looks like everything's kind of in tatters as it goes. What I'm kind of seeing, my first impression is that this has some type of Star Wars, Marvel, Thanos, there's the big bad is Kreese, all right? And then somehow they're going to have to bring everything back together to defeat him. And that's kind of where I see the plot going, just from my initial impressions of the first one.
Nice. Tone, your take.
Yeah, I agree. The analogy or metaphor of Miguel fighting for his life, in the tournament was cool way to bring the episode in. I kind of bummed out with how Johnny's character is starting off. He's in the bar, drinking. I get it. He's depressed for what happened after season 2 ends. He throws his phone away, loses his Camaro. What is that? The Camaro he drives? Leaves that behind.
Yeah.
So, but you want to see some more growth of this character, and it seems like he takes steps forward and then he gets put back. So and then he gets that fight and thrown in jail. So how about that guy with the foot? What was up with that? So I have my foot look infected. He's in jail.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think that was just a little comedy effect.
Yeah, I miss the fun, the funny Johnny from season 1, where he was just nonstop, everything he was doing was just oh my god, this guy's freaking ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you on that, Tone. I think they tried to do it a little bit. They tried to downplay it a little bit on this first episode, because they did punctuate a few of the things about Johnny that he was doing that were kind of funny. He tried to get in on the nurse, and he's like, "Hey, why don't you be a bad girl and let me in and stuff." He was trying to do that, and they kind of shut him down. That was pretty funny. I kind of agree with you. I don't quite like how Johnny's character is going up, starting off in this episode, but I do agree. Well, I feel that he is actually, that's kind of part of his character, right? He kind of goes up, he gets forward, and then he stumbles, right? And he stumbles back down, and then he builds up again, and he gets a little bit better every time. So I kind of like that aspect about it. I liked a lot of the things that they did in there about it, and how Samantha had PTSD. That one kind of got me. I was like, oh man, that's that's a real thing. That stuff happens in school and everything like that. But they had a lot of funny parts. I especially one of my favorite parts was the school board meeting where all the school board is up in the front and they're trying to talk to the students and or the parents of the students, and they're just yelling and just everything's just kind of chaos, but at the same time it's organized, but it's they have come up with these absurd solutions, right? They're oh, we're gonna do the hugs not kicks effort, where it's we're just they're gonna hug each other. They're what? Our teachers are gonna hug our students, and that whole aspect, I thought that was hilarious. But
hey, rule number 1 at school is never touch the kids. That's rule number 1. Don't touch the kids.
That's right.
Yeah. What I thought was cool about that is it was just, even though it was just random people yelling things out, it was kind of like alluding to the other side of the story. It wasn't just LaRusso's side of the story. It was like, I heard you were the bully. Or I heard this. I heard you stole his girl. Like that kind of stuff. And that's what I think makes the show great. Is it's just the truth's somewhere in the middle, and it's like you see the other sides, both points of view. What I did notice is that I don't know the name of the character, but LaRusso, you can tell he's getting kind of old in the way he moves and his karate kicks and that kind of stuff. I mean, Johnny seems like he's more athletic and still has it going, stronger. But LaRusso, I mean, I don't know how old he is, but when he tries to do like some of the kicks, it's like, oh, cut away. Like it's not the best. And the same with his daughter. Like the other like kids, they seem a little more like athletic and mobile, and she just seems real stiff when she's like punching and stuff. And that's one of my notes.
That's Miyagi-Do karate. Very stiff.
All defense.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. Like just watching, Ralph Macchio. He's in his like what mid to late 50s, and he is like, I don't think he's ever been like really proficient at martial arts. Like he was passable in the movies, but like in actuality, his like martial arts is pretty shaky. Like his kicks are not very clean, and like his movements are a little bit stiff and everything. And I think his daughter is actually a little bit better than he is in terms of the athletic ability.
Yeah.
But Robbie, he's just spot on. Like his movements and stuff were like really good in terms of like martial arts abilities and stuff like that. So
how about where Robbie's character is at? So it's kind of interesting how, he's like on the run, he's cops are after him. And then like, Daniel goes to see like Johnny about going to try to find them together. So we'll see where that takes them. Start buddying up.
Yeah, that was an awesome part though. Like I like the fact that they keep kind of coming back to them, like, oh, maybe they'll become friends again. Like that's one of the main driving forces of the show that I really appreciate. Like it's like, like when I was in high school, there were people I didn't like, but like after going back to like reunions and stuff like that, like they're like, I know I'm cool with that person. I don't care. Like none of the beef that used to be there is still kind of there.
Well, that's what like Gil's saying. It's like we see both sides, and they're both very similar. Like they have, even though it seemed like in the original Karate Kid, there's this totally different background, like rich kid, poor kid. That shows kind of fleshed it out. No, he wasn't really a rich kid. Had a rich stepdad, but he was a poor kid also. And things weren't easy for him. And Johnny's side of, it's all about the girl. Like in Karate Kid, it was between Johnny and Daniel over, Elizabeth Shue's character, I forget her name.
Yeah.
But if you look, even like in the last season, it was the same thing. It was Miguel and Robbie fighting over Sam.
Yep.
So it's kind of like, that cycle. Two guys very similar, have the same kind of, beef over a girl.
Yeah.
So, and then Daniel and Johnny still can't get over it. Like that's still like a thing that divides them is, one stole their girl.
So Gil, your thoughts on the whole school board issue where they were like, oh yeah, where were the parents or where were the teachers? And they're like, oh, the teachers aren't allowed to touch the students.
That's true. I don't know exactly what the rule is. From what I mean, like I've said, rule number one at a school, you don't touch the kids. If it's like someone's gonna, do bodily harm to another student, you can intervene. But it's like, a story from high school when one of the substitute teachers tried to get in between, a couple of dudes at our high school, and then, just gets punched in the face. So, I mean, there's only so much you could do, especially like, that was like an all-out brawl, like you need, SWAT team in there, like, they got the whole kung fu thing going on. So I did like how like they had like, they're all surprised, like, why is karate like such a big thing in the Valley? Like that was my favorite part of that. Like, what's such a big deal? Like, why is karate so important here? But
the one popular girl that comes back to school and she's like, gets warned, like, careful, everyone knows karate now.
Yeah.
Like she's like, all the nerds took over because they all know karate now.
Yeah.
That was funny. My favorite call out during that was when he's like, we don't have to make this a karate foot loose. Like,
yeah.
Be doing karate in the streets, back alleys and stuff. But I thought it was really funny that like they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna have a total lockdown of the school, and then they have like metal detectors, and karate doesn't have like sword. They're not bringing guns into the school, but they got like metal detectors, and like the kids punching and kicking each other. what good is that gonna really do? You know, they're still gonna be able to punch and kick each other. They all have their weapons on them. But the hospital scene where Johnny finally gets out of jail and he goes and he um, tries to visit Miguel
Go.
in the hospital using his tricks. I thought that was actually a really great call out too, where he tries to dress up as the doctor, and the guy's like, "Oh, you're not the doctor," and like that would be a typical thing that they would do in old '80s movies. They just put on a jacket and suddenly you're in where you need to be. I thought that was a really good call out to '80s styles movies and stuff like that too.
Yeah. The one thing I noticed in that scene, I couldn't not notice this, and sorry for pointing that to you guys, but the guy comes out of the stall. Oh, you're not a doctor, and just walks out of the bathroom. I was like, come on, do you gotta wash your hands, man? Like,
Yeah.
he's not a doctor either. Obviously, he's not washing his hands.
Yep. I didn't notice that when I saw it. It was a good call out. But
I do hope the storyline of Miguel's mom and being upset at Johnny, hopefully it doesn't last the whole season, and it's not a whole arc. Like I'm not super interested in that storyline, but it is a redemptive element of Johnny's character. Like as you go on, like she's got to realize like how good an influence he was on him, and even though there's this crazy karate brawl at the school, like you can't really hold. I mean, he's not Kreese, he's not sending in the squad to go beat people up and stuff like that. So hopefully they compact that a bit.
Well, that's the whole thing of like the way this season starts off is like there was a fight last season, so all the kids are starting off in bad spots, and then even the adults, like Johnny lost his dojo, he's down and outs with Miguel and Miguel's mom, and then also Daniel, like his business is now hurting because of it's kicking prices is not good when you're
yeah.
Yeah.
When your students kick the guy off a balcony, so like everyone the adults kind of are reaping what they sowed in this division they've taught these kids.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I do find a little bit of issue where Johnny has such trouble like getting Kreese out of there though. Like I mean, he got the dojo by kind of dubious means that were kind of like the legalities of things like that seemed a little bit shaky at best. But then he also like he refuses to kind of put his foot down on Kreese, which I really want him to resolve that. I mean, I'm sure they will probably by the end of the season, but he definitely needs like a little bit stronger hand of that, because I mean, Kreese pretty damaged him pretty hard, but I guess he did see him as a father figure originally, sort of. So I don't know.
Yeah, spoiler alert, I've already seen the entire season. It's on Netflix, so I binged the entire thing. So I won't spoil what happens with that, but that Kreese is definitely going to be, I think, I won't say anymore. I'm sure a lot of people watching this have probably also binged it, but that character, I think we're going to learn more about that character too.
One of my favorite themes of the show is when Danny and Johnny get together. That's my favorite. And then there's like spots of we're kind of the same, like we have like similar interests. We grew up at the same time period, same music, same girl, that kind of stuff. And then it's always like something goes wrong, but it's kind of like a love-hate, kind of thing that they have going on. Hopefully they have a lot of that throughout the season, because that's like my favorite part.
What you're saying is like they start talking and realize like, they can be friends. And then they remember, oh wait, no, I hate you. And they have to find the reason to fight. It's like, oh wait, no, I'm not like you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because it's such a driving force in the show, and it's like such a normal trope for any of those like love like story like shows like and Friends, like the Rachel and Chandler, or not Rachel and Chandler, Rachel and Ross, will they, won't they type of thing. And
Ross and Rachel.
Yeah, they push that for so long, and it's like a similar thing. Only it's like they're not like in love with each other, but it's still like, oh, they could be friends with each other. And I can't think of any other show that's actually done that sort of thing before off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's a good point. I went back and rewatched the season finale for season 2 because I want to remember how things kind of ended up where they were going into the season. And there was a part where Robbie's, took Sam back to Johnny's house after some party. This was like second last episode of that season. And then Daniel tracks him there. And then like Johnny is like, before Daniel shows up, Johnny's like trying to tell him, I got to tell Daniel, she's here and she's safe, yada, yada. And then Daniel shows up like hot, like he just pissed off, like I want to see his daughter. He's like, hey, it's fine, calm down, she's safe. But Daniel just like, don't tell me how to parent, like whatever, kicks Johnny's door open. So it's just like at that point, even when like Johnny's trying to like, you know, help out and like, hey, you know, don't worry, I got you. Like they can really kind of make a friendship there. Like it explodes again.
Yeah.
So and then Robbie later on tells his dad like, hey, you know, you guys have a lot in common. You guys could probably learn something from each other. So like that's been carried out through the entire show, and hopefully, you know, well, I've seen it already, but the season kind of like, you know, lays some more groundwork to that eventuality, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does like have like, I mean, I know it's based on like an 80s movie, but it does have like some 80s nostalgia in terms of like plot points, you know, like once things are going pretty good, there's all of a sudden like somebody sees like what's happening and you know takes it in a weird way and that messes the whole thing up, you know, like it's just perfect timing, perfect plot timing, you know.
Yeah. It's always like it's always supposed to be black and white. Like, you know, he's the good guy, you know, Daniel's a good guy, Johnny's a bad guy. And this show's flipped it. And then that's the whole driving, you know, through these seasons is like both sides think they're the good guys. You know, both of them are nerdy kids that are trying to learn to stand up for themselves. And both, you know, they're fighting with each other as opposed to realizing that they have more in common than differences. So it's just kind of like, you know, they're both learning the same thing for the same reasons, but they're seeing the others as like enemies for no reason. When it's just, they all have this macho, you know, this bravado that then it comes in conflict with similar people, and then it's going, you know, it's butt heads.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that the show is super aware of that too. Like, because Samantha delivers that line and she says, "I thought we were the good guys," and then Daniel's like, yeah, we try to be, right?" Like, I mean, that's how everybody should be in the world. Like, you should try to be the good guy. You shouldn't be the bad guy or try to be the bad guy, because you know that's not how you should be, right?
I think the problem is like, you know, it's kind of like our or the story we tell ourselves is like, you want to be the hero, you want to be the good guy.
Yeah.
But sometimes if you step back and look at the whole picture, you can see that there's no good guy and bad guy situation. People are just trying to like, you know, make it through. But the show like constantly puts these guys, you know, they're good guys in the situations. Although I gotta back up a little bit. Hawk, what the heck? I hate this character, Hawk. I'm over this guy. He's just like, he's just raw. I hate watching him. Like he was a character from the first season that was like, got picked on, he had the lip, and now he's just a complete like, you know, he's just gone to the dark side, complete dark side guy. So, you know, it's just hard to root for that character right now.
No, I totally agree with you that, like, I mean, although it's kind of funny because I've seen similar things happen in the past with actual people. Like there was somebody that I used to know a long time ago, and she was picked on because she was like overweight and stuff like that. And then when she got into college, like she slimmed down and stuff like that. And then she was like, she became very full of herself, right? Like a lot of people do that. Like they start off and they get picked on, and then they make a turnaround, and then they have this chip on their shoulder for like a long time. And Hawk is way over the top though. Like, right, he's like picking fights with people, and he's just like trying to fight like everybody. But it's funny how that actually backfires on him again, because when he shows up at school and he's trying to hit on that girl, and she's like, "Yeah, you pissed yourself and you got kicked through the trophy chest."
The case right there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's the type of character like you rooted for him in the beginning, you know, like he's getting beat up and you know, like Cobra Kai was good for him to a certain point, and then it just went off the deep end with him and like where he went with it, you know. He went full on Cobra on the school. But yeah, he like his character's tough, man. Like I want to root for, I feel like just from the way he looks sometimes, it's like something's gonna change. You know, like I don't feel like he's drank all the Kool-Aid. He drank the Kool-Aid, but I don't know if he's drank all the Kool-Aid, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe he's so stuck in that mode because like you're saying, like, you know, he's finally kind of broken out of his shell. He's kind of found like he has some footing and some respect, and he's maybe just afraid to lose that. So he wants to make sure that, you know, by showing that aggression that he's never going to lose, become that guy he was, or he's afraid of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. It's in the show. It's his character is written very like, so you don't get to see that, you know.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll develop him more and see, but it's just hard for me to like really see that angle. Like that, you know, there's very little glimpses of that still there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he did make that 180 like really quickly, and then like he got the tattoo and the hair and all this and everything.
Yeah.
And so, and then he got with the girl that he finally liked, and then she couldn't even control him, or even like, you know, because she was actually not one of the bad girls. She was still kind of one of the nicer girls and stuff like that. So it was a little bit of a leap, because she was actually also a fairly good influence on him, but he still kind of rejected that, and then he treated her badly, and everything went awry. But yeah, I agree with you. Like he is a hard character to root for in the show currently. It's like, it's just like, oh my god, this guy needs to get it.
Maybe maybe he'll pull a Darth Vader. You know, he was really hard to root for too, but then he turned back to the good side. So maybe
He's gonna be somebody's
we'll have some
father.
more. Yeah.
He's gonna have a kid.
Hey, okay. Least favorite character. Are we ready to move on to that?
All right, let's do it.
All right. My least favorite character, Tori. Worst character. Like, no, oh, you know, like she's just mad. She's just mad. You know, she had a tough upbringing. She's just pissed at everybody. She kind of like Miguel, but now she's just more mad. That's pretty much her whole plot line. Like, that's it. And she wants to kill LaRusso's daughter. Like, she just wants to kill her. You know, like, I don't know, man. There's not a lot going on there for me.
So her
you know?
character is it's a mirror image of like the Johnny and Daniel thing, because she was so bad in season 2 because, you know, Miguel. So she and Sam have the same from Miguel. So it's like they gave them the same treatment that Johnny and Daniel had, and Miguel and Robbie. Thank you. Yes. So the same treatment between Robbie and Miguel.
Yeah.
So I mean, her character is, you know, it's just she's actually, you know, an important character because of that, because she has to be Sam's, like, you know, no one's getting away. Everyone has to have their nemesis that really is very much like them. Like they both like the same guy. You know, it's for good reason. Like, you know, whatever.
Yeah. Well,
She's
I mean,
Johnny 2.0.
yeah, she is kind of Johnny 2.0, but like it's funny that they omitted her for the first episode, which kind of makes sense because her storyline is very cut and dry. Like she's the bad girl, and she was, you know, she's just like there to be the antagonist of the whole thing. But I definitely would like to see some more development on her character because she seems to have a very interesting backstory. Like, you know, she's the tough girl from the streets who's like always had to be a fighter because, you know, she was raised that way and stuff like that. So I would definitely like to see if she has any more development to be done in the show. But I mean, I could see it not going that way because she was kind of brought in as like a side piece, and she doesn't have like, I don't know. Everybody kind of wanted her to be the daughter of Kreese or the daughter of the Kreese's buddy or something like that, or even like the karate bad boy from Karate Kid Part 3. Like, I don't know, somehow be related to him. That would be an interesting, you know, plot point. It would probably be a little bit ham-fisted, I suppose, if it does show up that way. But yeah, I mean, I do dislike her character, but I see her purpose in the show. But Tone, who's your most hated?
Oh, I said it. For me, it's Hawk.
Hawk, that's right.
His character is just annoying to me.
Yeah.
You know, he's just so far, like, you know, gone. Like I feel like he's been around for so long that there should be some more nuance to his writing. Like even in the season when Miguel's like kind of going dark side, he's still kind of like Miguel. He still has some things, you know, he still sees glimpses. But Hawk is just like full on like dark side. So I feel like it's a little one dimensional for his character.
Yeah, I can be on board with that. I'd have to say that my personal one for that I dislike the most would probably have to be Samantha. Just because of how she was written. She was written to be like this kind of a goody girl at the very beginning, and she kind of was the whole time. And then she has like this weird rebellious streak, but then she never seems to know the right thing to do in a situation. A lot of times, like she, like, you know, in the episode, like she sees the girls whispering. She's like, she just immediately assumes that they're talking about her. She goes over there and she tries to punk them, right? Like she's got this like chip on her shoulder now from after getting into this battle, and she's got this PTSD and this, that, or never. And like, you know, she had such a good thing going, and then she didn't know what her emotions were. I mean, she was with Miguel, and then Miguel kind of shunned her, and then she was with Robbie, but then she still felt for Miguel, but Miguel was the one who was initiating the whole breakup. It wasn't like she was like, oh, I don't know if I want to be with you. It was Miguel was like, I'm going to be a dick to you, right? Or I'm not going to be, you know, good to you and stuff like that. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I dislike her, because she has had what seemed at the beginning to be a good upbringing, but then she has no inclination of what she should be doing, and she always kinds of fumbles it, right?
I feel like that's the same thing Daniel always does. Like he seems to, like, you know, watching the show, I kind of wonder like if Mr. Miyagi, if he was still around, would be able to like tell Daniel, no, you're this is where you're messing up. Like you're not, you know, you need to open your eyes a little more to the whole picture, right? Like, you wonder what his character would be saying in this situation, like how he would look at Johnny now, how he would look at some of these other kids, and, you know, and if he would be able to put it all in focus for Daniel to kind of like, because Daniel always went to him. Daniel could never see anything. It's always like this. And Mr. Miyagi kind of always like, you know, open his eyes a little more. Like, hey, you have to see the whole picture, like, you know, anger, all stuff, you gotta focus, like just focus on yourself, like all this stuff, like fear, it's all you know, you gotta focus on you. It's never external stuff, it's always you. You always point everything back into Daniel. So maybe he's like missing that aspect of Mr. Miyagi's teachings. Like, hey, you know, you're always looking out here. You need to look more about you, what you're doing to make these situations happen.
Well, that's like with anything with kids. You just got to keep it simple, you know. I think see what I see LaRusso's daughter as is like 50-50, half LaRusso, half Elizabeth Shue's character from the first Cobra Kai, I mean, the first Karate Kid. You know, she just like, you know, right away, like snap a finger, like she went over to Daniel, you know, and then what was it at the beginning of Karate Kid 2 or end of Karate Kid 1, she just left. You know, like, oh, she went off with some other dude or whatever. So like her wishy-washiness is creating some of that tension with, you know, with Miguel and even the two dojos, you know, like Miguel and that other guy, I can't remember his name either. I keep forgetting. Yes, and Robbie, you know, like it's creating that, right? You know, she is the epitome of those two characters.
Yeah, no, she definitely is the analogy for that, but she does karate. Like, you know, if she didn't do karate, she basically would be that character for Miguel and Robbie.
Right.
But she does karate, so they give her own story too.
I think it overall was a good episode. I felt that they used the inner fight scene with Miguel a little bit too much throughout the episode. It could have been shorter, and it was funny that they used some just random generic guy as the opponent. Like, I feel like they should have used a little bit more symbolism there somehow.
I think it would have been cool if he had just been like a faceless guy he was fighting, like you couldn't see who it was.
Oh yeah, that would have been awesome. Like that would have been more like symbolic. Because at first when it first showed up, I was like, is he having a flashback? Is he remembering something? But like he wasn't, you know, he didn't even have a chance for a second tournament. He only had the first tournament, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know what I like about the show, besides like Johnny and LaRusso's character being together, it's just how they incorporate the other movies. There's always like a cool flashback. It's like, I forgot about that. You know, like, I mean, I saw them when I was young, but it's just cool how they just like, oh man, like that's a deep cut, you know, like, or like, how do you like some of that stuff? It's just crazy how they incorporate that.
Yeah. This season, you know, not giving anything away, but they do a lot more of that stuff. So it's really cool how they bring that stuff in. They really, like I said, they flesh out more characters. So it's actually, I think still probably one for the comedy, two for just like the arc of the story, I think so far. But you know, this season I think is it's well rounded as far as how they incorporate some of the past stuff and new characters, things like that. So it's a fun season.
All right. Well, thank you guys both for joining me tonight. Hopefully you guys will be able to join me next time. Maybe we'll get some of the other guys on and we can discuss the next episode, or maybe we'll do 2 and 3 in the next one, just to get, you know, a little bit more to talk about, because I mean, I don't know what happens, but you guys do, so I don't know. But it's great for you guys to join me. Thank you, Gil, our resident teacher / school expert, and his wife's a nurse, so he's also a medical expert. And
degrees on degrees.
Tone, our resident movie buff and you know, trivia knowledge aficionado, even though he couldn't remember Elizabeth Shue's character.
Robbie's name.
Or Robbie's name.
Did we get Elizabeth Shue's name? Like,
I don't think we did
in the show.
We'll bring it up. You know,
Allie. Her name's Allie.
Allie.
It's Allie. Yeah.
We knew that the whole time. We didn't forget. We're not old.
Exactly. maybe if she shows up on the show, we'll remember her name.
Yes. All right. Thank you guys once again for joining us. We'll see you guys next time. Please.